just gone 5:30 and I've left Bath on the A4. I've just climbed up Box Hill, about the only hill I've got to ride today, and I'm about to turn on some minor roads. So I left Bath in drizzle, and I got to say the rain doesn't bother me in the slightest, and that is not overconfidence or naivety. It's based on experience. I was a delivery postman for about 23 years of my life, and most of that was 6 days a week out in all weathers. I got soaked to the skin twice in that time. I mean, really, really drenched. You get home and your feet are blue because the dye's run in your socks. So that sort of puts rain into perspective. It does look like it's going to be breezy this week, with the prevailing wind coming from the west-southwest. So that's going to be beneficial today. It could be an issue later in the week, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. So the distance I'm going to be riding is 1,200 kilometres, slightly over. So today's route is heading up through Malmesbury, Whitney, where I plan to get some breakfast, Marsh Gibbon, which is almost like a spiritual home for Audax riders, then up through Cambridge, which I'm looking forward to, and then Thetford Travel Lodge tonight. About 10 to 1 and I've just stopped for lunch. I'm on the 103 mile mark. I've got about 96 to go. It's turned out really nice and sunny, and I can tell I've got a tailwind and the terrain is quite flat, so that's the reason I'm making good progress. But I'm going to try and exploit it and build up a big time buffer so I can get some sleep tonight, because tomorrow is going to be the longest distance, and when I turn at Great Yarmouth mid-morning, I think I'm going to be heading into a headwind. It's now 3:30. I'm at 136 miles, so I've got about 62 to go. So I'm just sat outside a little village shop. I'm going through these really nice villages. I've just passed from Bedfordshire into Hertfordshire. I am going to be going through Cambridge shortly. I may be going through that rush hour, so that's probably going to take a little bit of time. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the progress so far. I got to Cambridge about 5:15 and it was a bit of stop and start going through the town centre. I had to really pay attention to the GPS track, but now I've been routed on this really nice riverside cycle path. Well, it's 7 PM and I'm making phenomenal progress. 20 miles to go, and it does look like I'm going to get to the Travel Lodge before 9 PM. I might even get to see the second half of the England match. I'll try and find a chip shop or a takeaway near the Travel Lodge and then take it in as I check in. That's the plan anyway. So it's about 10 to 8 now and it's less than 10 miles to go. And when it goes from 9 downwards to 0, you get decimal fractions, 9.9, 9.8, 9.7, etc. That is such a buzz to see those go down. It really does feel like homing into a destination now. And I'm always blown away by how a GPS can guide me such a long way, nearly 200 miles, on quite an intricate route, you know, through Cambridge, avoiding some busy roads by using cycle paths around them, behind pubs. It just never fails to amaze me. And the last few hundred yards as the track ends, that always blows me away, so I'm going to try and film that tonight. 2.1 miles to go. I'm just about to enter Thetford, right next to a very busy road. There's a fantastic cycle path running right alongside it. So here's what I love. Unlike finishing a circuit, which is normally at my house, I'm coming to the end of the track, and it should be right outside the travel lodge. Here we are. Oh yeah, alright. So, 8:45, and I'm checked in my room. Just as I turned up at the travel lodge, there was a couple of girls and asked me if there was a fish and chip shop nearby. They directed me to one about a couple of hundred yards away. The guy in it said it was so quiet because of football, he was just about to close, but so he did me some great food. I just switched the TV on before having my bath to see what the score was. I realised it's nearly over. It was 1-1, literally 20 seconds after the TV on. Harry Kane's just scored. So it's about 9:30 now. I feel quite chilled out. Had my meal. I rang Linda and had a chat with her. Can hear all the local youth outside. I'm obviously getting stuck into a bit of a session. There's lots of chanting about England. So today was really good. So I said in my last video I was going to have pretty much a week off the bike, and all I did was I rode out one day in the end out to Wellow and just had breakfast there and came back. I think it's about 10 miles. When I set off this morning, I really felt the benefit of that. After I climbed out of Bath at Box Hill on the A4 and then I turned on some lanes, it's been pretty flat all day and I've had a tailwind and I'm not yet sleep deprived, so today's seems really easy. I hardly feel like I've just ridden 200 miles. Got a little bit of chaffing round my right leg. I've just put some cream on it. I did really have to be aware to keep buying bottled water today and keep hydrated, because it was really hot by mid-afternoon. I was really careful to stay hydrated and I'm still drinking a lot now. There's lots of highlights, so some of them were the change in landscape and the different horizons. Once I got past Whitney, probably past Marsh Gibbon, it all started to seem unfamiliar, and I really like that. Like nearly all the signposts were village names I just didn't recognise. I mean, I recognised the big places like Aylesbury and Milton Keynes. And the rapidity of passing through the counties, I just seem to be banging them off quite quickly. Oxfordshire, Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, then there was Cambridgeshire, Suffolk, slightly back into Cambridgeshire, then in next to no time Norfolk, and that was quite amazing. Going through Cambridge really was fantastic. I mean, I loved riding through Oxford and Cambridge. I had to sort of pay quite a lot of attention to see where I was going. Then it wheezed me round some back roads onto that fantastic river path, which took me out of Cambridge altogether on pretty much traffic-free road. Then it plonked me onto a main road, but there was a cycle path running right alongside you. The cycle infrastructure facilities today have been absolutely overwhelmingly good. Really the sort of thing I like. You don't have to think too much about where you're supposed to be going. It's all very clear. It's just basically, it's either a bus lane or a ban or a section of road dedicated for cycling, or it's just a really smooth pavement running alongside a road. Just absolutely ideal. And then as I started approaching Thetford, I got thinking about Dad's Army, because it's where a lot of the outside filming was done here and in the surrounding forest. And a lot of the Thetford forest looked quite familiar. Maybe I was imagining it, but a lot of those, you know, like the closing titles where walkers from that sly fag, all those sort of scenes looked familiar. Next thing I knew, I was coming into Thetford. Oh, as I rode through Thetford forest, a couple of deers not together, in separate instance, just ran right in front of me. In fact, one of them just stopped and we eyeballed each other for a while, so that was really nice. So here's the room. So I'm charging all my devices, put all my spare food out, tomorrow's clothes there, there's my bike over there, and I washed some clothes and turned the heating full on, and I'm drying those out overnight. I have got the window wide open. Today really was a gift. I'm making the most of it, so I aim to be in bed quite soon. Set the alarm for 3, hope to be on the road for 3:45, because tomorrow's going to be the longest distance day. I suspect Wednesday's going to be the hardest day. I'll maybe explain a bit about that tomorrow on Wednesday. So, see you in the morning. So here's the Captain Mainwaring statue on the seat. Do you know, it looks so lifelike, unlike most statues, possibly because it's a familiar character, but almost looks like... I got a little bit nervous walking towards it. I thought he's going to say something. Such a familiar character. So I loved Dad's Army as a kid. I was brought up by my grandparents, and we would all sit and watch it together. And they'd lived through the war. In fact, they'd been evacuated from the Sussex coast, so I mean, they loved it, and I loved it as a child. And they told us so many stories from the time, you know, really ingrained in my memory. I actually saw a few characters from the Dad's Army cast in Bath. It was that long hot summer of 1976. I'd just left school. I was working in a clothes shop, Foster Menswear. It was a Saturday, and I was just walking home. I guess it's about 6 o'clock, walking through Kingsmead Square. And I just saw these 3 gents sat on a seat, and it was Sergeant Wilson, Mr. Godfrey. I can't for the life of me remember who the third one was. It was either Corporal Jones or Private Fraser. And I just looked at them and, you know, like, oh gosh, you know, and it suddenly clicked. It's 3 from Dad's Army, and I think I realised straight away that they were at the Theatre Royal. They were on tour at the time. And they were waiting to go on stage at the Theatre Royal that night probably. But yeah, that was quite a magical memory. Well, it's coming up to 4 AM and it's very mild out. It's almost light as well. There's a dawn chorus everywhere. So I've got to be on my way, so wish me luck before you go. It's now coming up to 5 AM on Tuesday the 19th of June, so I've been on the road exactly 24 hours now. This first section of the ride is really nice, going through some really nice villages, and in between the villages is mostly woodland. I'm heading towards the coast, so I'm quite looking forward to that. I do need to get some breakfast at some stage, 5 o'clock now, so I guess from about 8 o'clock onwards hopefully I'll start finding somewhere open. It may be a case of waiting the Great Yarmouth. There's so much wildlife I can hear all around me, it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying this. Just passing through the really attractive village of Loddon. On the village green there's a tribute to the Magic Roundabout. It reminds me of that joke. Have you heard Zebedee and Florence have got engaged? They're expecting a baby in the spring. Well, I've made it to the east coast. That's Great Yarmouth Pier. If I just swing round a little bit, see there's a big wind farm out at sea. Whereas yesterday felt like a free ride, today's felt like I really had to work for it. In fact, it felt like I was running on empty this morning, in fact, because I hadn't really had any breakfast. So as I came in, it was quite built up. I saw a few cafes, but they weren't open yet. Then I passed Kirsty's tea room and she was just that second opened. So I went in, had beans on toast, coffee and a Coke. It's probably not going to be enough. I could do with a really big fry up, to be honest. But I certainly feel better for having some hot food in me. So I go along the coast for about a mile or so, north, and then I'll turn left and start heading west, 330 miles to Aberystwyth, and I'll find out if I can